I use more to keep on cat one of the dogs. Strawberry jam, a whole bunch of different raccoons, so. Oh, okay.
Okay, Michael Tabor's here, so let's call the meeting of the IT committee at 9:36 on December 5th, 2019. Start with roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Sticknut,
Present.
McTaggart.
Okay. The agenda is in front of everyone. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Marvin, seconded by John. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Public comments? Okay, no public comments. We'll move on to the update on the county's website redesign and ADA compliance.
I believe there was a couple questions about the ADA compliance that was brought up. The county is being asked to update restrooms and other things for ADA, and the website was included on that list of items need to be updated. But there wasn't any specifics about it.
That's not, I don't know if that's quite accurate, but there's an organization called the United Counties Council of Illinois in Springfield that supplies us with information about different things going on with the legislature and so forth. And this is something that they put together for us recently that has to do with the Workplace Transparency Act, and it covers a whole host of things.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things, some of which apply to every employer, like sexual harassment training, whether you're a government or private, you're gonna have to do that. Anyway, on the very last page, they send us this accessible websites. And it says that it's something that's coming. It's not apparently been passed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when they say that in Springfield, though, it's something you better pay attention to.
Yeah.
But they go on here to identify some of the things that the website apparently is supposed to be able to do. And I guess the feeling is that if we're going to redesign our website and we're gathering information about that, that's something that probably should be included. However, I've got some questions as to how in the world you can do that. How can you make a website accessible to every person that is handicapped, because they're all different?
Technology lets you do that. We work with PACE in Champaign. They work with individuals with disabilities, and they're almost the most technical know-how company I know. They immerse themselves in technology, and with technology you can do so much with disabilities. Vision loss, hearing loss. You can do everything with technology nowadays when it comes to disabilities. So those things have been, there are ways that you can integrate that in the website as well. So you can have the website read everything that's on the website for vision impairment. You can, and so on and so forth. So there's lots of options for ADA compliance and helping with disabilities. That is out there. We mentioned briefly when we were talking redesign some of that. The big question, I think, is there going to be any deadlines or requirements or penalties if we don't have that on the website? I think that's the big question.
Well, I guess one question that goes along with that is that can the state mandate that we have a website in the first place?
So if they're going to force us, so what you're saying is they're going to force us to do certain things on our website, do we need to even have a website in the first place?
Well, I mean, there's gotta be some kind of balance there and whatnot. And again, it's a situation where if they mandate that we have to do these things, it's gonna be an unfunded mandate. We're the ones that are gonna have to foot the bill.
If they
And
mandate.
I guess, you know, what you're saying that there's different ways to make it accessible. So part of the question to that is what kind of price tag are we looking at for having all those different options
Mhm.
available on the website?
Yeah,
Seems to me
you
that
you
could be
picked
good.
up the, yes, we can do it, and yes, technology is there, but technology is not free. Yeah. No, there's definitely a cost associated with that. And the different levels, you know, how ADA compliant does the website need to be, or how compliant does the county want the website to be? I haven't heard any mandates or deadlines or anything. ADA compliance is something that we have talked about with the website redesign. The primary concern with the website redesign is security for the county. But then there's other parts of the redesign that, you know, department heads are looking at redesign, so they'll have more functionalities, features, more content can be put on the website. And then there's other things like ADA compliance that a new website redesign will do. So definitely, it's we said the web redesign is definitely important, and when it happens, we'll make sure to stuff it full of as many features as we can, depending on the budget. Like you said, who's going to pay for it?
I guess when we're looking at this whole issue, we need to try and get the costs of making it ADA compliant included either as an option or in some way or shape or form identify it. So that we know what we're talking about. Are we talking about $500,000? Are we talking about $500? Or, you know, where are we at?
The last
Hopefully somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, the last quote that was provided by, we've looked at a couple of quotes, one from Pixo Technologies, one from Area Wide, and the last one from Civic. The Civic one actually had, they had in their quote, they have basic ADA compliance features, and then they had an add-on cost for the full package of ADA and disability features. And I would have to look to see how much it was, but it was a yearly additional cost to add the full accessibility package. But their price came with ADA compliance. Any kind of rebuild we would do, whichever vendor that the county picks on will have some kind of ADA compliance. Some of the basic ADA compliance things is every photo on the website needs to have a caption or a description. You know, that's just one basic thing that they look for ADA compliance. But there's other things on top of that. And I think since it wasn't, but the website work wasn't budgeted for this year, we're looking at next year, unless we're forced in a corner with some kind of compliance or penalty. Thank you. So yeah, so this one was a one-time cost for a redesign of $20,000, and then thereafter roughly $6,000 a year for maintenance and hosting. And they provide, and then on top of that, there was the additional cost for a full disability accessibility package. That doesn't have that in there. But I talking with this company, I did like this company, and they came in right in the middle of pricing between Pixo and Area Wide. And they work with a lot of counties as well. One of the city of Monticello is one of our clients, and they just got their website redesigned with Civics. That's where I heard about them, and everyone had glowing reports of this vendor. So that is one good option. But definitely something to bring up, if someone starts telling us that you need to have ADA compliance done by a certain date, or there's a penalty, that's gonna be a concern with timing. Another concern with timing with ADA compliance is lawsuits. We have seen private companies get sued because their website isn't ADA compliant. I don't know how that would affect in a county environment, but that is one thing to consider as well.
Well, I guess that gets to the heart of the question I was asking though, is that how can you force somebody to have a website? If they have to have a website, then you can say what the website has to contain. But
You would think
I
if
mean-
they're gonna force the counties to do certain things, that it'd be great to have a grant to help cover some of that, just like what they have done with security.
I'm sure they can't force you to have a website. What it is if you have a website, they can force you to do certain things. That's very specific in laws if you have a website.
Well, it's something we're gonna have to pay some close attention to, and that's
Yep.
the reason that we wanted to bring it up today. It's nothing we can act on right now, but we need to be
Definitely a good thing to keep in mind.
focusing on it. And I can see where these different options for making it ADA compliant, some of them could be pretty expensive. Putting a caption under photographs is pretty simple, but having somebody, make a, voice everything on their.
A video of the whole
Right, I mean,
website.
that's, gets into a whole different ballgame. Especially for a little flea bitten operation like we got here. I mean, we're not like some of these huge companies that can knock stuff like that out overnight without any batting an eyelash.
That Civic's website, while we're on that, does that have a portal so they can pay their property taxes or look things up that would save Lisa's people time?
They can assist with that, but that's not included in that price. Typically, when we're talking about payment pearls and such, those are provided by the companies that are interacting with the county. Like, take for example, DevNet. The treasurer's looking at a DevNet payment portal. So DevNet would manage that particular page where payments are taken. And it, we could have a website with 2 words on it and forward it over to the DevNet's responsibility. So the county is not responsible for the payment portal part. Typically, it's whatever vendor that you go through for payment processing.
Okay. All right, Michael, do you have some things you need to go over?
Jill, we wanted to talk a little bit about Windows 7 replacements. Last time we talked, we just talked about a general number of workstations that were left over. We have a list of each department and the remaining workstations in their departments. Most of those would be replaced in the department funds.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's any more that we need to talk about, except that, will you be reminding the department heads about that so they can?
Yeah, and I
make
wanted to
sure-
go over the list with you afterwards
Okay.
too, just before I, put
So-
that out there.
So just the fact that we're continuing to update Windows workstations to get as many replaced before the end of January. So that was one item there. I'll continue, and another item is since the county decided not to do any phones this upcoming year, our recommendation for the internet contract is to not make any major changes. Usually that's overall a good sound thing to do when it comes to AT&T billing. But currently for the internet service for the county is paying month to month. If the county wanted to sign for a 2-year term or more, that would cut the costs and save the county some money on internet services.
Through
So we just
AT&T.
wanted to bring that up to get a decision and approval made on that. I wanted the lowest, if the county wanted to do a contract and save some money with internet services, I wanted to do the smallest contract length as possible. That way it won't interfere with a future phone upgrade, and their smallest term is a 2-year term. So just wanted to discuss that and see if the county did want to engage in a 2-year contract or keep it month to month.
So it's a 50 meg package?
Currently, the county has a 50 meg package that includes your other, AT&T provides telephone and internet services, so pricing with both packages kind of, they're married to one another. If you change one, they might raise or lower the other one. So, but if we just look at the internet pricing, it's for a 50 meg package. If they wanted to lock in that 50 meg package, would bring the price down to $1,350 a month. If we wanted to get a little speed increase, it's extra $100 a month.
So would that
From
be
going
100?
to 50 to 100 meg. And then currently the county pays for month to month. I don't have that in front of me, but they pay more,
Yeah, it's around 1,500.
15.
And that includes phone?
This is just internet.
And just internet.
I just always like to remind whenever you make changes with AT&T, and they don't, your other AT&T bills might adjust as well.
So can we find out what those numbers are exactly?
I can find out here real quick. Currently the internet is $1,525.15. The phones that are tied, the specific phones that are tied to it is $402.50 a month. And then so in that price of $13.50 a month, they are bundling the 50 meg package and that 23 phone call path. So it would go, if a contract was signed, it would go from a total of $1,927.65 a month to the $13.50 a month. So a bit of significant savings there to engage in a contract instead of continuing with month to month.
Okay, so 1525 is what we pay right now for 50 meg. A 2-year 50 meg only package is 1350,
With the call package,
right? So that total with the call package is 1927.
1927 is what is currently being paid. There's other AT&T bills, there's lots of bills, but the two that we're talking about today are the internet and the SIP phone calls. Those are what are bundled together that would change in this decision.
Does that include the long distance?
No.
No. we
Long
already
distance
signed the
calls
long
are
distance.
billed separately.
You know what that costs?
I can find out.
And packages.
Yeah, it's
Around
different
15
each
as well,
one.
yeah.
We made a bracket with that.
Mhm. Mhm.
But as far as I'm told, any of these changes with the internet and call pass wouldn't affect any long distance calls, but let me find that. Alright, so one of the bills is $1,000 a month. And there's multiple bills, and some of them go to different departments, like sheriff, that
It
pay
averages
out a
around
different.
1,600 a month,
1,600 for toll calls.
for long distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, average.
I would say an average of 1,100 a month for the
Mhm.
POTS lines and long
Mhm.
distance. So, for the county, not including sheriff for 911.
Right.
And so when we looked at ICN's pricing
Mhm.
for 50 megabit and 100, I don't have those notes in front of me if you can look it up.
Yep, so they, they also offered internet, a package as an alternative to AT&T Tech, and it was lower because it was a part of a grant, and that was roughly, let me find, I'll find specific, but it was roughly $450 a month.
So would it be possible for you to get all your facts and figures together and put them in some kind of a information sheet and present it at next month's meeting? Or
For,
all these combinations of phone and internet and long distance toll charges?
we did, so when we talked about the phone, looking at doing phones, we provided all of that. We can do it again, but since the phone project was not planned for next year, then so all we're saying right now is, do we want to continue with the month-to-month internet package, or do we want to do the 2-year? I can get that together, but we're
So I guess use analog phones so we can keep our regular POTS lines and phone system that we have, and throw out the IP-based phone system.
So if the county wanted to, we could reconsider doing the ICN internet connection and save you more money per month. But the AT&T costs for their phone service would go up. And then there
I
still might be a
understand
net
it's not a
gain.
bundle, but it'd be nice to know exactly how much it's going up. Is it going up $50, $500, you know?
When they were renegotiating one of those contracts, didn't it go up? What were they proposing?
We proposed to say that, to stay the same, they just renewed us.
But
That's
if
what we had.
if we didn't change the same, they were scaring us. weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
What was it?
but it was kind of decided, since we weren't doing the phones, that we would hold off on ICN until we decided to do the phones as well, because then it could be put together, with the phone upgrades as well.
But that means the question, if we were gonna consider the 2-year contract with AT&T, you're putting that decision off for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the big question here is, do we want to lock in for 2 years to save roughly $400 a month?
And our other AT&T contracts are roughly 2.5 years we have left, because we signed those not too long ago.
So we could have a tentative plan to
3
plan
years.
for new phones in 3 years, which we said that was the most likely situation for a new phone system anyways. We just said, hey, ICN's here right now, we have potential to save some money, and if we do a new phone system, we could throw it all together and do it right now. But if we want to wait, we could look at maybe doing the new phone system next year, and or just wait for a 2-year span and
I
take
think
that
that's what
savings.
Joe is getting at, is to try and put a clear as face as we can on, which is the best way to go. Because as I understand it, our decision with the phones is largely a financial one. It doesn't really have anything to do with the condition of the phones or that much, or the performance of them. It's more of a changing over what it's gonna cost us to do it.
I'm sorry, I was calling.
The decision to do the phones is largely a financial decision. Do we have the money to do it or not?
We didn't have, the county didn't want to incur any upfront or new costs
Right,
with
expenses.
the phone system.
Right, but the point is, if we're looking today at 2021 and determine that this is something we'd like to get done, and we can find the financial wherewithal to do it when we do our budgets next summer, that's the direction we want to head in. So that plays into this 2-year contract or not.
Because if we look at 12 months of saving $400 versus holding it off 2 years instead of 1 year.
I think,
Oh,
I
sorry.
think that's what Joe's getting at, and I think that's what I'd like to see, if we somehow can get something put down in black and white on a piece of paper that we can all study and see the different options and how they benefit us and what the costs are and all that sort of thing. 'Cause
I guess I'm confused because we already did all that.
Yeah.
So Michael, what I'm trying to get at is,
maybe it's got misplaced or something, I don't know if I got it.
so we did not want to spend money on equipment for phones.
Right,
But we did have an option to not spend any money on.
Phones and have
Phones,
phone
but lease
service
them,
with
correct.
bandwidth.
Right, we
Yeah.
talked about the option of leasing it instead, so we have the option of the upfront payment for the phones or the leasing option, but the county just said, hey, let's
yeah,
just
hold
put a
off on the phones,
hold
but
on
they're
it.
still,
So we do have all that information, we have the leasing information, we have the upfront costs, we do have the AT&T current cost, the ICN cost, and now we have a 2-year cost as well. So, the question, and we can reorganize that and bring it up front for next meeting and talk about it again.
Lisa wanted to.
What's wrong with our phones?
there's nothing exactly wrong with them at this point, but what we've been told is that, and this came from Mr. Goodman, I believe, that the
Cell
phone.
phones.
Well, he is, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, is looking at retiring. And these phones also are no longer available, so we do have a couple spares, but if we needed to replace or repair any sort of issues with the phones we currently have, eventually they're gonna become obsolete. And then the wiring on top of that.
And so for the phone system itself, the current phone provider is saying, hey, your phones are obsolete, they're working, they're not
Yeah,
having any
as of right now,
problems.
there's no problems.
But if you don't replace them and keep running it out, then you'll start having problems or having phones that don't work. And then, so with ICN coming in, we said, well, this would be a good opportunity to save money from AT&T, because that's a large cost, a monthly cost for AT&T because of their, the monthly cost for internet services, phone services, and long distance services. We could bundle that into a new phone system, and basically the only bills you would get after that is an internet bill from ICN and then a phone bill from an IP phone provider that would consolidate all the long distance charges, phone charges all into one bill. So if you went with IP phones next year or in 3 years, you would have a small ICN bill and then a larger IP phone bill as a monthly cost, as a month-to-month.
Lisa, it was just one of the things that was proposed for the budget as far as capital improvements.
So, and as a third option, we can definitely look at not doing anything with phones and look at moving to ICN and keeping AT&T for phone connectivity. I think we have some, if not all numbers for doing that option as well. It's just, in my opinion, that's just not the best way to go. So, but we can definitely talk about it.
So my thought was keep keep these POTS lines phones with AT&T? This is what,
Just, I'm sorry, I'm being technical, you can stop me if you want. So the county has, digital SIP lines that come in.
that's fine.
Yeah,
The traditional phone system that we
Traditional,
have.
yep.
Okay, so there's gotta be a price for the phone system from AT&T. Basically, they reduced it because we bundle it with their internet service.
So AT&T is saying if you're going month to month right now,
Right.
so the only change would be locking in another contract and we'd cut your costs. The only concern here, so the only concern is, do we want to consider moving to ICN for internet instead of AT&T to have additional cost savings from using the grant-funded internet connection?
Correct. So we did not wanna spend the money on the new equipment, wanted to keep this equipment. So what we really need is we need to have bandwidth, price from ICN, and then we need to know what AT&T is gonna charge us in addition to this number on a standalone package is I think what I'm trying to get at.
Yep.
And then surely AT&T, do they have a flat rate toll charge or long distance package that they'll roll in? Unlimited long distance calling?
That's, we never asked about that, if they have unlimited package, that's a good idea. Because right now, that's not what the county has, they pay a per minute charge or whatnot.
Okay. So can we come up with that somehow? I'm not sure.
We have all that information, the only thing we don't have is if they have an unlimited package.
Okay.
But, let me see here, so we did get the, yeah, it's AT&T, so I asked AT&T the question about if we moved to ICN and kept the telephone on AT&T, and the information they gave us was wrong. I verified that with ICN, but again, I didn't, so I stopped that research once ICN confirmed that AT&T information was wrong, but that was probably just a salesperson giving me the wrong information, but we can look at it again and see where to go with that. So we want to see, verify the cost for ICN and then verify the cost with AT&T if we move to ICN.
On the phone.
On the phone, which again, the problem is AT&T gave me that numbers, but ICN is telling me those numbers are wrong, so who do we go by? Because AT&T will continue to say they're right, and ICN will say that they're right. So again, that was my whole thing around like, well, I don't want the county to be wrong, and AT&T will flop you with a $3,000 a month bill because I've seen other counties do that. So I don't want to mess with AT&T because
I understand all that.
they'll pin you to the wall.
They'll
and
also lead you on that they have the
Yes.
best
they'll
deal.
bleed your money out. I got
Been
another county, they just scare me to death because I got another county where they pinned them to the wall with like $5,000 a month, even more of that, because they were making phone changes, and it just scares me. So I don't. I'm even getting emotional about it, but
I know, but it is a lot of money
I-
to the county, that's the problem. Surely, if they give us a proposal, then
they have to stick with it.
that's right.
No, the proposal they gave us though, it was just higher than it should have been. So if we wanted to stick with that high proposal, then and we would still save money with the high proposal, then we can look at that as well.
One thing that's a bottom line though is that we are gonna have to change the phones.
In the
Near
long-term
future,
future.
yeah.
Yep, well,
But we don't know
What?
exactly when that'll be.
so we're thinking,
We
he
were given
said
about a 3 to 5 year mark.
3 to 5 years.
Right, so when we're looking at these different options, that's something we have to keep in mind because we do have the option of accelerating that or it's either do it now or delay. We're gonna have to try and figure out which is the best way to handle that part of it. That's really what we're talking about.
Yep.
And for now, I think we've already discussed delaying it at least 3 years. with the whole phone system and all the changes, just because it is pretty pricey, and right now we don't really have any issues, and maybe by then there'll be new technology out. But what Michael's currently proposing is from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is going to bundling our internet and the phone package would save us, if we decided to sign a contract on that, would save us money for the next 2 years.
Well, are we using the traditional landline or voice over internet protocol for our phones now?
With the traditional phone system right now, it's a combination of POTS lines, which are analog lines, and a digital SIP line that AT&T provides. There are no IP phones in use or any VoIP phones in use. But the traditional phone system does use a variety of technology to get the job done that AT&T provides. So the county has paid for their phone system. That's paid for, owned, maintained by Goodman. So if there's any problems, Goodman's charges a service call, but that just doesn't happen very often because you don't have any phone changes. And then AT&T charges a monthly cost for long distance POTS line and the general phone service that comes in that serves all the phones in the county.
Another advantage with ICN you pointed out is that they have more security features or availability for us.
The whole service that they have is based on security, based on working on government entities. So they have security features that are built in, proposed to help clients. Those security issues could also cause problems as well. AT&T provides you with a raw internet connection. They don't provide anything over the top of it. As you know, with security can cause service issues or blockage when we're talking about adding new security to email. So security equals inconvenience. So that's a consideration as well. It's a good thing that they have security on their internet connection that they provide at a grant reduced cost, but it could make changes and some people might not be happy with that. They might not be able to get to a website that they normally get to. But again, that's just a part of security. Security is good, and you just have to work out adjusting settings and working through things. That is an added bonus to the ICN.
If I can make a comment to ICN, at 911, we're directly appointed at ICN for a majority of things. Aside from the occasional website that's hosted outside of the United States, which really makes absolutely no difference, it's really just a bonus to have that level of security. Additionally, it may be worthwhile to speak with the insurance to see by going to ICN if that may help with some of the premiums as there's added protection.
And as I think AT&T is seeing that competition, as a part of the 2-year contract, they're adding in free external vulnerability scanning. So they're adding a free security package, which is totally different than everything else we're talking about. It is something that they're throwing in if they sign up for a contract.
Lisa, how's your experience been with the ICN?
No, didn't see any transition. It was seamless.
That's great.
Yeah.
We did have one issue with ICN a month back with the DNS. They're having DNS issues. Remember,
It was a
think it
couple of
affected the
months
email.
now. That impacted a lot of extras.
Yeah.
It was resolved within, I'd say, a total lapse of like 12 hours.
So every provider is going to have a
Yeah,
blur here or there.
I wouldn't have counted that towards anything as a negative impact
Right.
because of what you just said.
Right.
It was a bit of a pain to deal with some of our regularly used programs like MDC, which we use to communicate with our police officers in a text message format that's secure, as well as leads. But for the most part, it was kind of business as usual for us.
questions about what we would like to have, Michael?
No questions here. I'll show you what AT&T gave me for the option to move to ICN. What they gave me is if we move to ACN, or I'm sorry, ICN, and then we kept the phone connectivity with AT&T, we'd have a result of additional $50 a month. That's, again, and I think they're wrong. But
Phone
that's-
service only.
So phone service only,
Goes up
move to
$50.
ICN, and we'd be paying an extra $50. So again, that's why I kind of blew that off, and again,
They didn't put that in black and white, did they?
yeah, I got it right here.
I don't doubt that.
But
It was a proposal.
they did do a rough estimate of ICN, not of $600, and I think the quote that we got was like $450 a month. So that would change to $100 savings. But again, that's what AT&T gave me. But I think the thing for me is I'd like to marry any major changes with the phone system. That's my recommendation. So if the board wants to, if we want to wait 2 or 3 years, then signing up for a contract to save some monthly cost is right in line with what we want to do. According to AT&T, moving to ICN and keeping their phone connection would not save any significant money. And we could go back and check those numbers with AT&T since we think they're wrong, but unless they admit that they're wrong, those numbers won't change.
If they change, they're only likely to go up and not down.
Exactly. That's my 100% experience with AT&T. And when they go up by 100, which scares the dickens out of me.
Anything else on that part?
I guess the only other comment I would make is that I would imagine that when we look at this, most of us might prefer to get the phones changed and go to ICN, but how the money part of it's gonna work out is the determining factor. But I mean, when you see something you know you're gonna do, human nature is let's go ahead and get it done now and reap the benefits and get it going, kind of thing. So with that mentality, I think that's maybe how we need to look at this, not to say that we wanna jump the gun, but by the same token, I think if we can afford it and it's the thing, something we need to do and ought to do, I think it speaks for itself. And if we can't do it this year, then certainly something we can pencil in strongly to do next year. But
And I think that's where we're at, is it didn't get approved to do it for this year's budget, but we could look at it again next year, for sure.
And some of that for this year, I think we're looking at trying to get the budget balanced. What can you take out, what has a higher priority and so forth. Well, if we make this a higher priority with the budget for next year, the result can be entirely different.
And if I think we're leaning with moving forward with a phone system next year, then we might want to stick with month to month.
Yeah.
We'd be at a potential loss for the monthly cost for a year, but we wouldn't want to get committed to an extra year of AT&T that would be a waste there as well. So that's the decision there. We have to be committed to doing the phones in the next year, or otherwise we should go ahead and save money and lock in for 2 years.
What kind of penalty does AT&T have if you break the contract?
You don't wanna do that.
You don't want to.
No.
Again, I've seen it.
No, but it sounds like everybody's happy with ICN, and as far as the phones go, yeah, I agree with you, we could budget it in for next year and just keep our monthly plan.
Right.
Pay what you were gonna pay anyway, John.
Right.
The cost isn't going up, as far as we know.
Right.
If AT&T changes that, then we'll discuss it again. Because again, since it would be a month-to-month, AT&T would be free to change it anytime they wanted
Right.
to. So that is also something to note.
Mhm.
I hope they wouldn't, but
And Michael, didn't you say putting those, or signing a 2-year contract, wouldn't it be about $6,000 savings a year? Didn't you say,
$400 a month roughly.
well, I don't know if I said 600.
400, we were throwing a bunch of numbers out there. So that'd be roughly 5,000 a year, the savings.
So it just kind of depends, you wanna do it, you know, if you wanna look at phones next year or in 2 years, and changing over to ICN.
We've been
Say
told,
$10,000.
Yeah,
we've been told that, the phones have, remaining life, time of 3 to 5 years.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and we do have some spares if need be in our office.
And the bottom line is you just don't use the phones that much. Like you don't make a lot of changes.
No.
Departments don't move from one side of the building to another, so,
No.
that you have that going for you.
Could you, or she also shows what we spent for long distance over last year?
Oh, yeah, it's provided management, so I can go ahead and just give you a copy of that if you want.
For long distance.
Yeah, the whole utility sheet is on there and long distance is included.
So Kurt was asking about the upfront cost for a new phone system. That was, I can pull it up, but roughly upfront cost would be 30,000.
Would that be our building and the whole?
It would be all the county
Yeah, it was
buildings.
right at, I think 36 was,
All the county buildings, including highway as
yes,
well.
okay. Mhm.
But everything but sheriff and 911.
Kurt wants to donate the money for that.
No, I just asked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And that's why I put it on for capital improvements this year, is because there really wasn't a whole significant, you know, a bunch of significant requests for capital improvements this year. But we could definitely look at that in 2 years and sign our contract and save some more money.
Okay.
All right. You want me to continue with the other items?
Yes.
Just wanted to give an update on the email upgrade project. It is 99% complete. We have workstations updated for their office software, the server, the email exchange server is updated to the latest and greatest. So we should be good for quite a while here with the email service for the county. And there are some cleanup tasks to do in the project, and then we'll be complete there.
And this was one of the reports that got sent to me, and it's like 30 pages, but
Yes.
I just printed off the overview sheet for everyone to take a look at as far as.
Thank you, appreciate it. So the other item is talking about the email security. We recently did an upgrade. Jill gets a monthly report on all the statistics, and we can have this probably a great page to bring every month to talk about.
Yeah,
It
there's
just-
a lot.
It just shows you what's going on with the email. The county uses the email significantly. Email is a very important place for security. So this is for the month of November. We can see that 65 instances, someone has tried to email malware and viruses to the county, and that were blocked. So I was surprised with that number.
I was too. That's why I printed this off, because I was surprised by that, and also the 1 in 8
I
unsaved
received
clicks.
2 emails that said a Word document of my own that I sent in that had a virus in it.
Yeah.
And I've got up-to-date virus systems in my own stuff, so I'm gonna.
So those were detected and blocked, and then the 119 in the left circle, 119 attachments were sandboxed. So those are the ones that went through that were scanned, and there was nothing found there. So that was really, really good. There was 200. So we turned on the URL protection and filtering. In November, there was this should collect most of this statistics, but through all the email traffic here in the county, county members clicked 250 times on URLs on emails. So and it only takes one bad one to get infected. So the county does use emails to go to websites, which we try to encourage people to not do. I do know different departments use emails in different ways, and they do trust their senders, and they have a lot of things they have to get to, documentation or policies that they need to go out to a website, and it's just easy to click on a URL in the email. But of those 250 emails, 1 out of 8 of them appeared to be unsafe. Now, again, we haven't looked at all those URLs to see if it was a false positive or really one. But the great thing is every time someone clicked on those URLs, it gave them that information that said, we're not sure if this website is safe, please watch before.
That is almost 90% of everything I click on. One of the biggest challenges with that is I cannot see what the actual URL is. All I see is a Mimecast link, and when we get down to the phishing scams and everything else, and I understand that Mimecast is doing a pretty good job of fielding that, I have no idea what that link is. I have no idea for myself whether I can trust it or not. So that's a big challenge to me. I'm wondering if we can change the settings so we know what the link actually is.
Yeah, I'll check on that. What we had in the health department is she had a number of people who would email her just tons of URLs and attachments, and we basically made exclusions and said if it comes from Illinois.edu, we are just going to bypass all those security things because she just gets so much content from those. So if you have some of the emails that come in that you just you got to get to those URLs and you know they're safe and you do it every day, we can make.
I guess my situation wouldn't necessarily mean.
But that's not what you're talking about.
I don't necessarily want to bypass the Mimecast because there might be something that I could accidentally click on, and I'm not interested in that. But if I can see the actual URL that Mimecast is going to go look at before I get the little pops, that would be something I'd like to see.
It's a great comment. Yeah.
That would be the easiest way for me to go, no, I don't need to click on that because something doesn't look right. And this way, if it were even accidentally clicked on, Mimecast would still kick in and do its job.
Yep. And the default setting is people that use this don't know as much as you do to look at that and have an informative view. It's doing the baseline of users. So, but I'll check because that's a really good point. For those people that would be informed enough to look at that URL and see if it looks odd, that would be very helpful. I'll check.
Thank you.
So we'll continue to bring those to the board and just see the value or the show if any unsafe trends might pop up. As we go along in this new year, there are some servers left still on 2008. The next one, the email server was one of them, and that's rounding out. The next one up is the DevNet server. We provided pricing. I did not print it here, but I provided pricing to upgrade the DevNet server, and we're just looking for approval to purchase those licenses so we can move forward with it. This is in the budget for this year, as far as I'm told. We have $15,000 for these upgrades, and this is the next one on the list. I just want to make sure that could get approved so we can move forward that in the near future.
Do you have that available to remind us of the pricing?
Yeah, I didn't print it out. Sorry,
Okay.
but I
No,
got
that's
it right
fine.
here.
That's Okay, so it's $4,712.40.
Yep, and that cost there is the Microsoft licensing cost. DevNet, it, as a part of the yearly cost that is already paid, the software, the migration, the hours from DevNet are all included, so there's no additional cost for the DevNet software. Area-wide would take a couple hours of billable or on-site time to spin up a server and help DevNet, but it'd be very minimal. So, but that's for the server licenses and the SQL database licenses, and for 20 people to access DevNet, the licensing part. We worked with Kurt to get that 20-person number.
Is that everything?
That's it.
Okay. So, can you get us a list of all the equipment, maybe a block diagram of how the whole system kind of works,
For
the county?
for the network.
Right.
Yep. That is one of the things on Adam's to-do list, is to update the network diagram. He's been great on helping staff and also helping with the email migration. I'm talking to Jeff about his hours on that. We'll work with him so we can get an updated one. We have an old one, but we need to get an updated one. Definitely.
So then at some point, is there a way to put like an end of life? Like, when do we need to replace this stuff? Is where I'm going with this.
Mhm.
What do we have? How long is it gonna last? What's the end of life from the company's standpoint?
Mhm. We don't have a detailed one, but Jill does have a 5-year budget plan, but I need to make that more detailed. So we do have that. It's a general overview 5-year equipment replacement plan. So I can get a copy.
Equipment?
Yeah,
list
but what we would
with
really
prices.
like is like an inventory list with expiration dates and
Specifics.
pricing. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
specifics.
We don't have that. I can get that.
And I think we need the same thing for the software licenses.
Mhm.
Because at this point, we don't know if we're gonna spend $100,000 next year, $1,000 next year. I just threw numbers out, obviously, but,
This year or the following?
well, I mean, the following year. We have it for this year, but
Yep.
we need to be looking out 5 years.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially with these software licenses, I feel are just as important.
Mhm.
The kind of money you're talking about.
They usually roughly do every 5 years software licensing. Like this DevNet server, it's probably been 5 years since we've done it, but we'll get that on the list and get that to next meeting.
And then as far as like, what are critical components maybe of this system? What's gonna happen if something crashes that we absolutely have to have? What's its impact? And maybe what's it gonna cost? In other words, like an emergency repair situation.
I got you. Like if your AC goes down, how much would it cost to replace your AC? But in the computer world. Super. Yep.
And then the last thing is the passwords. It would be nice, we don't wanna know the passwords, obviously, but it would be nice to know who has what.
Like, I think we talked about this a month ago. Jill was asking, we know that area-wide has all the administration access, but if Jill needs to go in and do something, or if area-wide went poof up in smoke, so she does have that. Jill has that password, the keys to the kingdom. If you
I don't
don't,
think I never got it from you yet.
if you don't, we can get it.
Yeah.
But your wife goes poof, Jill's in the Bahamas with no phone service,
If
because
that's.
she didn't replace her phone.
Thank you for not making me go poof.
I like the Bahamas, that's.
Yeah, that's better. All right, so.
No, we need to have backups.
Mhm.
We'll make sure Jill has that, or we'll give it to Jill and you
Yeah,
can put it
we'll
somewhere.
just, we'll have it in the office if needed.
Okay.
So the only thing we need answered today is if we're willing to do the 2-year
Hmm.
AT&T contract.
So decisions today, if we wanna make it, is the AT&T 2-year contract and the DevNet, server upgrade. If we wanna make those decisions today.
I feel like we need to wait on this 2-year contract, myself.
I'm fine with that.
Table until next month.
And we need to study our lesson on that, because there's a lot of money involved there. And we work real hard to shave off a few bucks here and there, and that's big money.
It's, and it's up to the board if we wanna do the DevNet, we don't have to. I've been told by DevNet that it needs to be done, but it doesn't need to be done right now.
But things like that will be in this information packet you put together for us, DevNet, and all that, so we can look at it from today going forward, even though we talked about it, I think, already.
So the Windows 7 and Server 2008, those do expire at the end of January.
Right.
And we're in December. Next, if we don't do anything with DevNet this time around, then next meeting, we'll have the DevNet and then the other 2008 servers, and I'll have that all in the list there. And then the decision that would need to be made in the next meeting to go ahead with all the servers, the DevNet servers and the other servers, or decide to, when Microsoft has a extended security update plan that's a cost. So that'll be the next month, we have to make the decision, do we want to upgrade the servers and the remaining department desktops, or do we want to pay this yearly cost that Microsoft is providing, just as a update or that will have to be made next month, or the county will not have updates beginning February 1st for those end-of-life
Windows 7.
software and hardware.
I think we should go ahead with that. I don't want to jeopardize anything like that, but
Well, and again, that's why I just wanted to get started with DevNet. DevNet is, we got it all the ducks lined in the row for DevNet, but there are a couple more servers I'll bring to the table next meeting that will need to be done with the same thing. So it would be nice to knock out DevNet here on this meeting, if possible.
so DevNet licenses are from DevNet,
So the DevNet software is from DevNet,
right?
and everything included in this upgrade is already paid for with the yearly subscription. And the only thing we're talking about, the server upgrade, is paying Microsoft so we can have a new version of the server, and area wide would take a couple hours setting that up, and we'd give it to DevNet support and they'd do the rest.
Basically, that's a must. They're an exclusive provider,
Mhm.
so I guess those aren't really things we should really hold up. I don't know. What do you guys think?
If we got if the funding was included in the budget for this year, why, I don't see any reason that we shouldn't go ahead with it.
As far as I was told, that was put in the budget for this year.
And that's at the cost of $4,712.47.
That's the licensing cost, yep. I did not put the area-wide labor, but most likely we can add them to that.
Yeah.
liaison.
On his regular scheduled visits.
The
Yeah.
labor portion of,
Yeah.
of that.
That would be great.
So this was for paying Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
their dues.
What was the amount again, Joe?
$4,712.47.
47 cents.
4,712.
Mm-hmm.
I got that part, I didn't get the 47 cents.
So do we need a motion to get that done?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve going ahead with the Devinet upgrade for $4,712.47.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Paul. Roll call vote?
Young,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes,
Sticknut,
Yes.
Are there any other IT issues?
Not to my knowledge.
Old business? Any new business? Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make
Made by Paul,
Second.
by Marvin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.